Meet the founder of Myrtle Beach's oldest locally owned newspaper. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald, Myrtle Beach's oldest locally owned newspaper. At its office is at Myrtle Square Mall, right next door to Belk. And we're visiting with Debbie Harwell, the founder of the Myrtle Beach Herald. Good morning, Debbie.
Greg, how are you?
Thanks so much for getting with us this morning. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving yesterday.
We had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We had the traditional turkey and everything. I ordered the whole meal out and brought it in. Everything was traditional except the cooking. But it was great. It was great. We spent it in the mountains and
great.
Nice and cool up there.
Yes. Well, that's sweet of you to get back in today so soon after that. And to think all this week, we were at the Wordsmith, Mary Edie intro.
I love Mary. Mary and I are great friends. I love Mary.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. We've been friends for years.
Oh, Mary's a superstar.
We won't tell everything, but we've been friends for a long time.
I'm sure. That's right. There's got to be some secrets to that. That is exciting, Debbie. Well, this is, and of course, oftentimes I've heard folks refer to you as Deborah. Are you okay with Debbie?
Okay with Debbie. Usually when I write it, I put Deborah, but most everybody calls me Debbie.
Okay.
I used to have a license plate on the back of my car that said Debbie. And then it got to where everybody knew where I was.
Oh,
yeah.
So
I decided to take it off.
Get rid of that, no doubt.
Yeah.
Could track down everywhere. What the Myrtle Beach Herald, incredible. This is one of the most exciting places on earth, and surely one of the most exciting places here in the county. But of course, you hold a dramatic position at WRNN and have been doing that a long time. I think 6 or 7 years on and off.
I'm working a lot of hours. I do a lot. I wear a lot of different hats, and I enjoy WRNN so much. It's on 99.5.
Right.
It's we have a talk show. It's not a political talk show. It's not a news talk show. It's kind of just a combination of everything. And I've been filling in for about 7 years, and now for 2.5 years I've been there full time with Steve Porter as my co-host, and now we have Dave Priest on there also. And so the three of us, we can talk for 4 hours straight without stopping, but we like to take the live call-in. So we have a lot of fun over there.
4 hours?
4 hours.
That is such an incredible amount of time. How do y'all do that for 4 hours?
Well, we have a lot of assistants because we have Associated Press at our hands. We have CNN and Fox, ABC, NBC. We have all the majors at our fingertips. And two, the locals help us a lot. We look through all the other medias and see what's going on. And two, the Myrtle Beach Herald plays a very instrumental part in that because we pull a lot of our news that we've learned during the week into the radio show. So we've got firsthand the facts of what's going on in our area.
That's so vital. You know, weekly newspapers, and there's so many great ones in Horry County. When you think about the Ainer Journal and the Loris Times and the North Myrtle Beach Times and the Horry Independent, of course, the Coastal Observer down there in Pawleys Island and the Georgetown Times.
But we're in the heart of it right here. We're in the heart of Myrtle Beach, and we're in the heart of the growth, and it's an exciting thing to have a newspaper, but it's even more exciting to have it right in the middle of the growth area. We're where everything is happening, and it's just been a treat to have this newspaper.
You're right. And of course, 10 years ago, Debbie, it was 10 years ago.
I didn't mean to do it.
We got to hear. I mean, this is a huge, I know it's not a secret, but how did you get the paper started in the first place, and what prompted you to do it? And of course, I want to spend some time this morning sharing with viewers just the 10-year history of the Myrtle Beach Herald.
Well, in the very beginning, I think that I was in 11th grade when I decided that I wanted to work in the newspaper business. And how it came about, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I was in the 11th grade, and it was time for you to decide what you were going to do in life. And I liked everything, and there were so many things I wanted to do, I couldn't decide. So I had done well in English, and in the 11th grade, they had advanced me and put me in a 12th grade English class. And so I was there with everybody that was a year older, and that was a big thing. And so I loved the writing aspect of it. And I started thinking, I would like to do this, I'd like to do that, I'd like to travel, and I thought, how can I do all of those things? And one of the only ways you can do that is to be a newspaper reporter. And so I started out as a newspaper reporter, and I've done a lot of things. I've done everything from interview Roy Rogers to fly some of the jets and dog fights, and it's just been an incredible experience over the last 29 years.
No way, Debbie.
So I moved to Myrtle Beach about 23 years ago, and I wasn't working. I had just, it was one of those time periods where I was taking a break, and I thought, I'd really like to do something here at the beach. And so I thought, well, about the only thing that I know about is the newspaper business and the PR business, and that's all kind of the same thing. And so I thought, I believe I'll just start just a little small weekly newspaper, kind of a newsletter type thing, except it'll be in a broadsheet. And so I did that at home. I had a home office, and I hired one reporter, one salesperson, one layout person, and myself. And we started putting the paper together.
Wow.
And the first issue, I can tell you how long I can stay up, because it was 36 hours that we stayed up in a row to get that first newspaper out. I thought we would never do that. That was in the days when you had layout sheets that were paper, you had blue line pencils, you had X-Acto knives, and now we've thrown all those away. Now we do what they call pagination on the computer, and so we don't have any blue lines. We don't have all the old things that you learned on. It used to be that we would measure by percentages the pictures to see how to shrink them down, and we would have to send all the pictures to the printer, and inevitably we would leave out one and have to go to the printer a second time. So the computer has made it a lot easier on us, to get the newspaper out. But 10 years ago, it was a real struggle.
Share with the viewers a little bit about that first issue. Do you remember it, Debbie?
Oh.
Yeah, you talked about 36 hours. I know, so you probably don't remember much from that.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun, but boy, was it a struggle, because we had to get grid sheets made and everything, and we thought we'd done so good, and the printer would call and say, is it going to be today? Yeah, it's going to be sometime late this afternoon. It'll be today. And then we just couldn't quite get it done. It'll be tomorrow. Then tomorrow came, so for 3 days we did that.
Oh, no.
And so finally we got the issue done. We were so proud.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to look at the first issue, and we did a feature story each week, Friends in Focus. And the first one we did was on Skeeter Nash, and he owned Skeeter's Restaurant. And we were so excited. We went over there, and Larry Gatlin's mother and daddy were sitting there having breakfast with Skeeter, and we thought, oh boy, this is going to be fun, and we're going to go show them this. They had subscribed to the paper and everything. We were mailing them a paper, and we looked at it, and the last line on every paragraph was left off.
No way.
It was awful. There's a little window shade. It's a program that we were using at that time that just wasn't pulled down in that computer program. And so every paragraph had the last line left off. I thought, oh, no.
Oh, my God.
But we were still proud that it was printed.
Yeah, it had a picture of Skeeter.
It had pictures
So
of
at least
Skeeter.
the picture turned out okay.
The picture was good, and it was with Larry Gatlin's mother. So
oh, great.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun putting together. I looked back at some of the old issues, actually, before we did this interview, and I thought, oh, what fun those first days were. I mean, we had lots of pictures in the newspaper, and we did things. We had time then when we could do the things. We had the issue of the Confederate flag at one point. I think this is when Governor Beasley was in the administration, was our governor. And I remember we had a pro-Confederate flag and an anti-Confederate flag march here in Myrtle Beach. And so we went out and we marched with both groups so we could give a first-hand account of exactly how they felt. And we could see where both sides were coming from. And but it was very interesting. In the very beginning, I remember the first time we had a Harley rally, the motorcycle rally. I carried my camera. Now, I kind of pride myself on being a pretty good photographer. And so I took my 35mm Nikon out, and I went down to the Holiday Inn downtown and decided I'd take a picture of the motorcycles to put in the paper. And so I jumped out of the car and put my camera up, and all of a sudden somebody put their hand on my camera and said, no, ma'am, you don't take pictures. And so I had decided to take pictures of the one percenters that come from the Hells Angels, and they really didn't like you to take pictures of their bikes at that time.
Wow.
So I learned a lot, but it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun putting together. Just looked through the years and the issues that I looked through. Even the first issue I saw where we had a young lady in Surfside who had disappeared, and the four of us at the newspaper, it was like a team effort, and it was like, we literally went out to look for her ourselves. I mean, she had disappeared, and she did not come back to us. They did find her later, but we got into all kinds of things. I remember going on at a venture one day, and they had an escapee. And so I decided, well, we need to go take a picture of the police. And so we drove right up, and the policeman said, okay, you need to stay in the car, and you need to lock your doors because I don't want you to be the getaway vehicle. So there's a lot of learning experience going on, but it was a ton of fun. For 10 years, it's been a lot of fun.
And whether you're a weekly or a daily, or share with the viewers a little bit about the classification of a newspaper versus some other things. We've got bi-weeklies in the area, or news magazines, or other things. What are the primary distinctions? How does a newspaper become a newspaper? And
well, newspapers are somewhat regulated since it is on a paid subscription type basis, and since we do go through the postal service to mail our newspapers, we do have some regulations on us as far as we have to report how many we mail, where they're mailed to, how much the cost is, that type of thing. So we do have a number of regulations on us, as a free publication would not have those regulations. And I think that a newspaper that is most of the newspapers in our area are broadsheets, which means they're the larger newsprint. And most everybody that I know takes great responsibility in having a newspaper that has serious news. You have to be a very responsible person to make sure that you report it correctly, and that you have a responsibility to the community as well, which is one of the exciting things that I see in the future about the Herald, is getting into the community more. As I look through past issues, I saw the Heart Ball, I saw the cancer fundraiser, I saw all of those things in the Herald, and just pictures upon pictures. I mean, it's a lot of fun to look through, but I think it's maybe the responsibility factor. You have to be extremely responsible to have a serious news product.
And the aspect of being locally owned, not to take anything away from newspapers that continue to put out serious journalistic product each day or each week that are owned from outside of an area, but you having set up the paper here in 1993, and now more than 10 years in the business, about to enter the second decade of the Myrtle Beach Herald. What do you think makes it important as a locally owned newspaper, Debbie?
I think the difference is that you have to support the community. Not only the community is supporting you as far as a weekly newspaper, and you have to give back. And I think that it rations out equally. You get back what you give out. And so I know that we do a lot of articles for arts groups, different nonprofit organizations, and one of the purposes that we have in doing that not only is to share their events coming up, but also that they send those articles in for grants so they can continue to operate on the nonprofit basis. So I think that we've got the responsibility to the community to support them. There's a little bit of a difference in a weekly newspaper and a daily newspaper in the fact that we have the opportunity to maybe expand our coverage of those nonprofit organizations.
How vital. How vital.
There's a lot to it. There's much more than you actually would think.
You know, there is much more than I have ever thought. And I've seen that in the last couple of weeks as you've given me an opportunity to experience anew and just to continue to think about building on the amazing legacy that you've set here for the Herald.
Well, it's just been a joy to be a part of the community. I mean, it's just been a treat.
Well, thankfully, of course, you're going to remain involved with the Herald for hopefully many years to come, and on a direct basis, at least for a short time. But hopefully, we'll continue to make you proud going forward. Debbie, am I correct that you're a registered lobbyist?
I am a registered lobbyist with the state of South Carolina. I got involved in politics many, many years ago in North Carolina, and when I came down here, I began to be a little bit active. And then with the newspaper, you have to be, you can't be on one side or the other. You have to be pretty neutral within the newspaper, and we take great pride and go to great strides to accomplish that. But outside the realm of the newspaper and the radio show, I do some consulting work for different businesses and different organizations on the state level and in Washington. So, and I hope to grow that some.
So you're on the road quite a bit, heading to Columbia or heading to Washington. How are you able to maintain the morning talk show as well as maintain a marriage and continue to do all that traveling, Debbie?
Well, you know, I have my husband come along with me sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
you know, he's a great asset when it comes to government lobbying, because he knows everybody in politics. You know, because he's been in politics before, right. And he was in Columbia when he was Chief Justice, so he knows a lot of people in Columbia. And it is a juggling act, and I do have to watch every single minute. The days get long. They're 14 to 17-hour days sometimes, and it gets tiring on this older body here.
Yeah, you don't say it. You look like my sister. That's crazy.
But I just enjoy it so much. I just love, I tell everybody, I just as soon go to a political fundraiser as I have a birthday party. I just love it. And I just love the process. I love to see the things that can be done, and want to be a part in assisting to help build our community, get some things for our community that we need. And I think that I can do that through establishing some relationships and continuing some relationships that I have for companies and organizations. And
I've been so excited to see how the elected process works, whether it's for a solicitor, a state senator, a state house member. Last week on the show, Greg Hembry was in, Horry and Georgetown County solicitor, which is considerably different than obviously the folks who travel to Columbia. Luke Rankin was with us last Thursday, and next Thursday, Alan Clemens will be with us. Folks who have incredible goals of committing to the folks of Horry and Georgetown County, or in Horry in particular, and to just get the message out for them, to Columbia or to Washington for guys like Henry Brown from down there in Berkeley County. It's amazing the commitment level where when you step out to represent others' interests.
It really is. And what I have found as far as our delegation here in this area, and well, frankly, just about all the delegations that I'm familiar with around this state, everybody has the best interest of their area and their state in mind. And a lot of times you think that it's just big-time partisan politics, but they're actually, and there are a lot of partisan politics, of course, but they are giving of their time, and they're making a lot of sacrifices that we don't see on the front side. They make sacrifices of their time with their families, of their finances, and they're really there because they honestly want to help their areas. And I've been really proud of our delegation and the work that they've done.
That must be real tough, Debbie, to remain objective as a publisher of a paper, of an owner of a newspaper, and maintain. Are you able to get behind the scenes and help out candidates, for instance, as they're moving forward, or do you have to really maintain? How does that work?
I really don't do that. I really don't get behind particular candidates on a local level or statewide level here. I don't do that because I don't think that would be correct as far as being a newspaper. But you have different personalities within a newspaper. We have different political persuasions within the newspaper, and everybody has different opinions at the newspaper. So everybody, it levels out and evens up.
Share with the viewers. We got about 7 or 8 minutes. Of course, there's so many aspects of your life we haven't even thought to touch on. Of course, growing up, you're a Tar Heel native and now called the Palmetto State home.
Right.
Am I correct?
I'm a Palmetto lady.
A Palmetto lady, that's right. Do you get back to North Carolina much? Of course, you said you were in the North Carolina mountains yesterday. Do you get back?
We have a house in the mountains, and we enjoy that. And my mom and dad are getting a little bit older, so I try to get to see them a little bit more often than I have been. I've been a little negligent being here along the Grandstand because it's hard to pull me away from here. Yeah. I love it here, and so it's hard to get me out of this beach area.
Well, somebody in Columbia Columbia's pulling you away, and in D.C., and I mean, you're finding
But you wouldn't believe how many miles I put on my car and how much I stay on the road.
Yeah.
On Tuesdays, during session, I'll leave the radio station and go to Columbia, but I try to come back on Thursdays, depending on what kind of meeting's going on and what's happening. But it's just very intriguing to put it all together.
Now, David, of course, is on the road a good bit as well. He does
We compare
a good bit of, that's right. He's of counsel to, is it Nelson
Mullins.
Riley in Scarborough, that's right. And, of course, he has been a guest on the show at least once, or I think a couple times. We were with him at our Florence studio there with Ed Young that same day or same week, a superstar week. And, of course, I was so excited to have been up there. This is our former Chief Justice of the South Carolina Supreme Court. So excited to see him receive the award there from the School Foundation, Florence District 1.
They were very kind in presenting that to him. And what a wonderful organization they have over in Florence. It was just amazing to us. There were 1,000 people there that night and raising funds for
They've raised more than $1 million now for that. It's private funds for a public school district. We got to do something like that in Horry County.
Amazing.
Right.
It was an amazing thing, and I'm very proud of the people. They worked so hard to do that, and David was very honored by them bringing him in.
Absolutely, very definitely. In the last 5 minutes, Debbie, let's spend a little time taking through the last 10 years, and we can't do it in 5 minutes, but give the viewers a sense of how, obviously you talked about the dramatic change of using the blue line and the much of what you had to do with your hands to now using your hands to do it all on computers, or so much of it on computers.
We do just about everything on computer now. And like I said, we do pagination, which means that it's laid out on a computer. There's no pencils used, there's no X-Acto knives used, nothing, just the computer. When we do our corrections, it's all done on the computer, and we don't even physically take the newspaper out of the office. We email it by the fast modem that we have now, and we email it to the printer, and the printer takes it off in what they call a PDF file. So in other words, it's kind of like taking a picture of the page and then sending it down. It used to be, even when we first started sending things down, we would have font problems because they had not perfected this process yet. Fonts are the different types. And so some things would be a little out of sync. But now everything's perfect when it comes back because it's nothing can be changed on it. So a much easier process now, much easier process than running to the printer and then running back. It's so easy because now you email it and they deliver it and you never go out of the office.
And the amazing staff you have at the Herald, or that have gone along in the transition, have been around a long time, of course. Betty Moses, and you think of Tom O'Dare and the folks like Steve Porter and others, and so many Patty, so many folks that have come through the doors. I'm so excited to have spent some time with Dennis recently and to see Gary and Shar and just the amazing crew, Jack Thompson, folks who want to be associated with the Myrtle Beach Herald.
We have been so fortunate to have wonderful people work at the Herald. I mean, we've had a wonderful staff, and I think everybody takes pride in their work. I mean, I think we've got the top and we've got the best of people that we could have out there. I mean, who could ask for anything better than Jack Thompson to have historical photos or photos of events in our area? Gary Condolog, photographer, is the best that there is probably in the state of South Carolina as far as sports photos, action photos goes. And I remember someone saying on Tuesday, well, what time do you close? And I said, well, don't worry about that. Just come on by. And they said, no, really, it might be later. And I said, well, if it's later than 5 a.m., then you probably need to call us. But somebody's going to be there. Oh, wow. So it takes a lot of hours. It takes a lot of hours, and you have to meet the deadlines. It's like you put it out whether you want to or not. So you better be ready.
How important. You know, it's been so exciting to see so many of the publications in the area to now have a greater interest in how they're put out and how articles are scripted and how the journalists make such an effort and how the advertisers say this is a vehicle that I want to use to wrap around or have them wrap around me to really help garner more customers to my business or get more folks walking in the doors.
We've seen a lot of publications come, a lot of publications go, but I think the reason that we have remained and have remained successful all of these years is because when the advertisers come in, we understand why they're there. we're the ones that are supposed to sell their product. We're the salesperson for that product. So I want to make sure that somebody buys their product. So when we design their ads, when we place their ads, when we distribute the paper, what we have in mind is not only the news, but we want someone to buy their products. So we're kind of a salesperson for that advertiser that comes in. Got to remember that.
That is a very important point. One of the great aspects of the print business, and of course on that side, is that you're able to let all clients know year-round where the rates are, how they can get into the business, and really have an appreciation for how a newspaper can help them.
Right, and this newspaper comes out on Thursdays, and it stays around for 4 to 5 days, unlike a daily newspaper. You know, usually you get rid of it and look at the one the next day. But this gives the advertisers a longer period of time to be exposed.
I was excited recently around the elections of some city and county council offices to see candidates placing ads in the Herald and really understand the impact that the paper has on the community.
Yeah, we try to get to the locals and to the voters, and actually that's who our readers are. Our readers are the local people, so it's a good idea for the candidates to advertise.
Yes. Debbie, lastly, what has been the most exciting aspect of having launched a paper in 1993 and seeing it grow and seeing it hit some real tough times, like the loss of the last line of each paragraph in the first edition focused on Skeeter Nash there? What's been the most exciting aspect?
You know, Greg, just when you're down at a time when you look at something like that and you've made a terrible mistake in a headline, which is going to happen, it's just inevitable at some time, there's always something right around the corner that picks you up. And it's just the most valuable thing, I think, has been able to make people happy when they see their picture in the paper, when they've done something that they need to be recognized for, to help the organizations stay in business, to help the Cancer Society raise money, to help the Heart Association raise money, to do something that's good for our community. And that's been the most rewarding part of the entire paper, and getting to know everybody. It gives you the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and people in this area are just awesome. They're just wonderful.
The words are real simple. Getting to know the people of the community and serving the people of the community, making an impact daily. Debbie Harwell's been doing that not only for 10 years, for the last 20-some years she's been in Myrtle Beach, and that 11th grade opportunity there in Shelby has blossomed into a spectacular career. Debbie, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Greg.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed it.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Debbie Harwell, the founder of Myrtle Beach's oldest locally owned newspaper, the Myrtle Beach Herald, for making such a dramatic commitment to the community and making today's Carolina People so special.